welcome. How are
Oh,
you?
hello, I'm really good. How are you?
Good, yeah, I'm grand, thanks.
I,
Oh, what I'm talking to Kirsty about today is, of course, alcohol-free living. Sober life, sober curious, all of the things round about what's known in Scotland. I don't know if it's a worldwide thing, is the demon drink. Is that a
Mm,
Scottish thing, Kirsty?
it might well be, yep.
I
Or
think it
what's
might
your
be.
poison? The poison.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah, of course. So can we just start at the beginning, Kirsty? Can you just tell us your experience with alcohol and what led you to become sober curious and then completely sober?
Well, I was never sober curious. I think that's a really important thing to say
Okay.
because I got sober when I was 41. So 7.5 years ago, I got sober. And I'd known since I was 27, a year after I had my daughter, I've got one adult daughter now, that I had a serious issue with alcohol because it was just causing major problems. And I was one of these people that blacked out and stuff. But it took me 14 years to kick it for good. And I never once thought about being completely sober. I tried, it was almost like mental arithmetic, mathematics, how I could, moderate if I didn't drink wine, if I only drank this, back and forth, back and forth. And it's quite a well-known story, so I don't mind sharing it. But I was really, really bad with the drink by the time I stopped. And I had to sign into a crisis centre. There's a great crisis centre here in Edinburgh, the Edinburgh Crisis Centre, because I stopped drinking between Christmas and New Year and the
Okay.
doctors weren't open. And I thought I was going to die. And what I mean by that is I thought my body was about to give up that morning. And mentally I was just done. Prior to that, 8 years before that, we lost my mum very suddenly. And something that I hear from a lot of my clients as well is we don't know how to deal with that sort of, well, let's talk about grief in this country, and what do people often say? Have a drink.
Mm-hmm.
So I took that on board, absolutely. And I also totally bought into Mummy Needs a Wine. I've been a single parent my whole life, and I'm actually very proud of that now. I used to be a bit ashamed of that. And I had not quite I had a really stressful corporate job for years. So I was working really long days so I could have 3 days off because my mum was my childcare. She'd passed away. And I believed so much that and the language I used was, I deserve a drink. I need a drink. And people in my corporate job would say to me, oh my God, you've had a hard day today. I dealt with escalated complaints for a
Oh,
major energy company. So
oh,
nobody was
oh.
phoning up thanking for their electricity. But people were saying, and I hear this again from my clients, people were saying that, my managers, my colleagues and my team were saying, my God, that's been a hard day. Have a drink. You'll be having a drink tonight. Now, of course, it's not their problem that I drank.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
However, I just thought it was really normal. And and I didn't know how else to deal with anxiety, upset, anger, all these things.
And is
And
that, sorry, Kirsty, is that how your drinking started to manage those sort of symptoms, or had it started long before
long
that?
before that, so
Right,
if we
okay.
go right back to when I started drinking, like a lot of people, 100 years ago, I was 14, and I mean it's not funny, but I got my stomach pumped the first time I got drunk. I
Oh
was just a wee
gosh,
lassie, and I always say
gosh.
that on the Friday of leaving school, and then this happened at the weekend, and I had to turn into school on the Monday. My mother would never have let me take time off, and I had to be somebody that I wasn't. I had to brass it out. I had to pretend it was fine. I was mortified. Everybody knew. And then I was very, very lucky that I went travelling at quite a young age. But I think about it now, I wouldn't have let Sky, my daughter, go, but I was just almost 18 when I went abroad for the first time. And I travelled with techno sound systems. Now I'm really into techno music. So there was a lot of drugs and alcohol involved in that. Wasn't a huge problem for me then. I had zero responsibilities. I was living in a bus. I was travelling all around Europe,
Wow.
living my
Mhm.
best life. Came home, and this is where the problem happened. Came home,
Okay.
partied hard, fell in love. I was there. I was hoping to make money and go abroad again. I fell in love with Sky's dad. We had Sky. My relationship broke up. All my friends were still partying. My friends have got kids, but they're just starting secondary now. So there's a huge age gap. My daughter's coming up for 22. So I was drinking on the weekends at Sky was at her dad's, and then I started drinking at home. And this glass of wine, Mummy needs a wine. I'm doing all this on my own, and I started drinking every night. I was opening a big bag of crisps for my tea when Sky was in her bed. But by the time I was 41, I was drinking
Okay.
most nights 3 bottles of wine a night.
Oh, oh, okay.
Hmm.
Hmm. And of
So
course, this stressful job then
yeah,
just exaggerated things even more.
yeah, absolutely. And when you said about being sober curious, and I laughed, I had never done dry January sober. I used to think those people were boring. I'd think, what are they doing that for? I had the worst mindset around people who were sober curious or who were moderate drinkers or who didn't drink. You know, I would say awful things like, I didn't trust her. She doesn't drink. But all
Oh,
that,
Kirsty, it's such a serious subject, but you make me laugh.
but all that, like, I know we spoke about sea swimming in the beginning. I used to look at sea swimmers and think, what wankers? I think, look at them doing that. And it almost put me off doing it. And I think so many of us are carrying these beliefs that we don't question, and they can stop us doing the things that we have to do.
God, yes.
So in 2017, in December, at the Crisis Centre, that was it. I never drank again, which makes it sound very easy. It wasn't easy at all in the beginning, but I have never, ever looked back. It's the best thing out of everything I've ever done in my 48 years. It's the best thing, and I love it.
And so what was the moment that arrived you up to that point then, between Christmas and New Year, when you went to the Crisis Centre? Had something happened? Was there a moment of clarity, or...?
Well, my birthday's in December. My mum's anniversary's just 2 days before my birthday. Christmas I struggled with because having lost my mum. I'm very comfortable to say this. I know other people will be like, oh, you shouldn't talk like that about yourself. But I was very comfortable in the victim mode. Nobody knows what it's like for me. It is so hard for me. I'm a single mum. I've lost my mum. So I just had kicked the arse clean out of it. And I'm also a football fan. I'm a Hearts fan. And it was a Hearts Hibs derby that I had been at. I had taken lots of drugs, drunk lots, woke up in the morning, and once again could not remember how I'd got home. The house was a disaster. Phoned my best friend. She came down. But that morning I actually got on my knees and I just was like, I can't do this anymore. And I wonder if I spoke to the universe. I'm quite a spiritual soul, not religious.
Love that.
I don't know if I spoke to the universe. Somebody once said to me, I wonder if you spoke to your mum, which I love. My mum hated me drinking. But something happened and I was very unwell though, Amanda. I think I had to take about 3 months off my job. I had an amazing manager, thankfully. But I was signed off for about 3 months and yeah, I was just an absolute wreck. And I knew I couldn't, I knew I didn't have it in me. I didn't have it in me to have another episode like that. And that's how I got sober. And I didn't use what people see as the normal routes. So I didn't do AA. I tried AA when I was 27. It wasn't for me. I just started really caring for myself. So I started journaling as well. I'm a prolific journaler. And I used to think, how can I care for myself today? And later on, much later on, I would ask myself, and I still ask myself, how can I love myself today? Because I do love who I am and I love myself. And to care for myself, it was going to my bed. It was being honest with my loved ones. I was in a relationship at the time. We didn't live together. It was doing some really difficult boundary work. It was staying away from certain people, family included. And for the first time ever, I was showing myself the care and compassion that my mother had given me. My mother adored me and my brother and my bairn. She adored my bairn as well. And I was looking externally continually for this care and this compassion. And I'm able to give it to myself still. There's days where I have to check myself because I still have negative self-talk. I will never drink again though. I mean, for all the tea in China, I would never ever drink again.
How powerful that must feel to be able to say that and know with absolute certainty that you mean it.
Yeah, 100%. And the first year, Amanda, for me, once I got into the groove of it, I always think, when I think about it, I always think that then I got into this groove of, oh my God, I'm still not drinking. I just had it in my sights. Now, it's different for everybody, and I've worked with thousands of people, one-to-one and in groups and stuff, but for me, I thought, I need to get to the year. I got to that year, and as I said, my birthday's in December, so my soberversary is in December, and for me, it's a better celebration than my birthday. And when I got to that year, I just knew that was it. Like, I was so determined to get to the year, and I was like, never, ever am I touching drugs and alcohol again.
Wow. Good for you, Kirsty. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, you're saying things got really bad then. Is that what bad looked like? Bad looked like taking 3 months off your work and that was all alcohol related, yeah? And so you were physically ill as well, yeah? Was there actual physical illness symptoms through drinking as well?
So I was blacking out. I was waking up on my sofa and having to take myself to bed with my daughter in the house. I lost so many possessions. I lost friendships. Relationships broke down. The physical symptoms were I thought I had IBS. I don't have IBS. The worst anxiety ever. I need to caveat this by saying, with my doctor's help, after I was a year sober, I came off all mental health medication. I would go back on it in a heartbeat if I needed it, but I've never needed it for 6.5 years. I thought that I had, like chronic anxiety. It wasn't. It was the alcohol. Now, like many women my age, I have got ADHD, which was undiagnosed. In fact, it was misdiagnosed. I would never have found out about that and been able to manage that until I came off the alcohol. And I work with so many women who've been diagnosed with ADHD, and they realise that alcohol is like petrol on a fire. The 3 months off work, it was just really trying to get myself eating properly, drinking water, getting my sleep back. My sleep was so bad for such a long time. I just didn't trust myself. I was scared of my own shadow. Like I had zero confidence, because what I used to say was, I'm off it. That's me. I'm having a week off it. I'm not doing it anymore. I'll be back on it. So when you continually tell yourself something like that, I'm not drinking wine, I'm not drinking this week, whatever it may be, and then you do that thing, your confidence is just slowly getting chipped away, because you're no trust in yourself. I had zero trust in myself. Oh my goodness. I mean, I'm happy to share this, but I was up to here with debt. Like the debt was, and I've not long paid off my debt, and I'm 7.5 years sober. I had risky behaviours. I had no care for my well-being, and I'm a mother, and that's maybe shocking for some people to hear, but I just didn't. I just couldn't imagine not drinking. Like for me, I still believe that I was the only one doing it wrong, and somehow there must be a magic way to drink this stuff and be okay.
Wow. Gosh, and so when you say you were bad, then that's what bad looked like, certainly for you, and that makes a lot of sense. And so then it was approaching your mum's anniversary and your birthday of the December 7 and a bit years ago, and you just knew you couldn't go on like that then. And then you had a chat with yourself and your higher self, whatever that might be, whether it was your mum or just putting it out there, and then arrived at the crisis centre. And so then what did that early time of sobriety or getting sober look like? Like, was there anything that was really surprising to you?
So I understood what self-care was, as in, like, I used to hear about journaling and meditation, and I started throwing myself into that. Like, I tried absolutely everything. I remember downloading Insight Timer, which is a really good meditation app, which is free, and just listening to anything. I couldn't sit on my arse. I have to tell you this, because I always say, like, oh yeah, I read Unexpected Joy Being Sober. I did not read it. I listened to it on Audible, because at my house, I just went from one end of the house to the other and just gutted it and cleaned it and kept really, really busy. I started my gratitude practice on the day that I stopped drinking, and all my gratitude practice was Sky, which is my daughter, my best friend Alison, that came down, my then partner, and that I was alive. And I still do my gratitude practice every single day. And it's something that I truly, truly believe is the cornerstone of my recovery, if you want to call it that.
Wow. And is this something you would have previously have mocked before?
Yeah, or I'd have thought, how can that make any difference? But everything that I've just told you that I put on day one's gratitude, I had that the day before when I was drinking, but I thought that I was a victim. I didn't have anything good going for me. But I had Sky, I had Alison, I had my then partner, and I was alive. And I try to almost every day put down one reason that I'm grateful to my sobriety. And to be honest with you, Amanda, my life I wouldn't have anything that I've got. I wouldn't have a business. I wouldn't have the relationship that I've got with my family, with my daughter. I take my daughter raving. Like, the fact that I know I'll never be drunk. She's into techno like me. All the amazing stuff that I get to do. I've got a community interest company that I run. I swim in the sea in the morning. Like, almost everything that I can tie in with what's great about my life is because I stopped doing the one thing that was completely destroying me.
Yep. And then so that, I guess, was the sort of surprising things, is things that you'd previously thought were, for, to quote yourself, for wankers. Swimming in the sea, journaling, that sort of thing, actually became the cornerstone then, and still now to this day, your sober journey. Wow.
A lot of the work that I do with my clients,
how life...
it's like, people think they can't change. I was that person. I didn't believe these things were for me. I'm from a council estate in a place called Loch End in Edinburgh. And I mean, you couldn't get more working class than me. And I'm now a lassie that is a life coach. I remember like trying to tell people I was a life coach and like, well, I'm a life coach because I think it's just that felt wanky as well. But
Yep.
I completely retrained, you know, I was coaching in my job, but it was like I started to believe that change not only was possible, but it was the best thing, you know, for me. And my signature course, my 8-week course, is pretty much based around how I got sober, which I can adapt for individual people. But it was like looking at my values, looking at my boundaries, looking at my triggers, looking at my gratitudes, looking at my whys. Like these are really important things if you want to make any change. You'll know your why is so important in business.
Yep.
You know, we can't really do anything without that.
God, love this. I just can't help but feel empowered listening to that. Like, the one thing I think you can never change other people, and we've all tried, haven't we? But you can totally change yourself. You're totally in control. It's not easy, but it can be done. And so you touched on your work, and you're now a sober curious life coach and got your community interest company. So tell me, Kirsty, how did this whole experience lead to you then setting up a business around this?
Well,
I mean, was that something you expected? That
Well,
must have been surprising.
this is the craziest part of my story. So when I was a year and a half sober, I won a trip to Thailand to a wellness retreat on Instagram.
Awesome.
So I took my best friend Alison, the girl that came that morning, and we got to the airport in Thailand, and we were both like, we're about to be kidnapped. Like it just felt so bizarre. We got picked up and we went to this wellness retreat, and it was probably one of the most important times of my life. And I met a life coach called Sam, who I still stay in touch with. I'd never met a life coach before, but as I say, I'd coached corporately. And I got talking to her, and I just was like, I know I want more. And she's like, you have to do something with your sobriety. And I was like, no, definitely not. That's, you know, this is just for me. And I came back to Edinburgh, and there was chatty VR, voluntary redundancy at the company I was working for. And I said to my boss, I want it. And she was like, you're not going to get it. You're one of our high performing managers. Anyway, long story short, I got VR. I got voluntary redundancy. And I took a job in Stockton Prison, where I worked for a year, which I loved, and I've volunteered in the criminal justice system since then. And I retrained as a transformational life coach. I got a diploma in transformational coaching with Animas. I chose them because they're recognised by the International Coaching Federation. That was important to me. And ever since then, I have... people contact me a lot to say, I'd like to be a coach. How did you do it? And I immersed myself in everything, and I still volunteer within addiction recovery. I've done my work within the prisons. I volunteered within the prisons. I volunteer in the community, because the most important thing that I've done in my life is made that change with alcohol, and I know that I can help other people, you know, do similar or support people to try and reach there. I didn't think I was going to do stuff about my sobriety, and I done what you would maybe just call general life coaching, and I still do. Like, people contact me that have worked with me in the past, or a lot of sober people contact me for me to support them in other things, because sober people tend to work with sober people. And then I started Sober Buzz as a microblog, just, you know, talking about how great it was. Nobody was talking empowered about being sober all those years ago, and I was like, this is the best thing ever. And then during lockdown, Sober Buzz became much more than just a microblog. There were so many people contacting me to say that they were really struggling. And I was in the middle of my coaching qualification, so I was like, hey, I'll just do some online Zooms. And I think by the end of it, there was 3 a week. And I've got a board of directors, and they're all sober women, and they're people that I've supported in many ways. I've got a lawyer, I've got an accountant, I've got somebody that works in the third sector. And yeah, that's come from that. And now, if somebody had told me 8 years ago, so 7.5 years sober, if somebody said 8 years ago, Kirsty, you'll be... I mean, I'm on the telly in everything, Amanda, as you know. Like, I always ask
I do.
If you were like, Kirsty, in 8 years, the BBC will contact you if they've got anything to do with sobriety. You'll have a community interest company, and you'll be support. I'd have been thinking, you're off your head. Like,
you're clearly drunk.
Like, what are you on? Like, what is going? So, when I say my life has changed completely, I mean, it truly has. Like, it couldn't be more different from what I was 8 years ago.
Wow. Oh gosh, I'm so proud of you. Honestly, that is just incredible. I can't help but feel so proud of you. That is an incredible,
I'm proud of you, because I know your story. So I'm proud of you. You're that love between us. But thank you so much for saying that.
Oh, absolutely. That's incredible. So let's think about our audience today then. Small business owners.
Yeah.
We are small business owners, and it's busy, and there's often other carer responsibilities, often other jobs. A lot of our listeners are working 9 to 5 still while building their business up, as I did at the start as well. Caring responsibilities, kids, elderly parents, you name it, it's busy. It's a busy, busy time. And like you tapped into earlier on, the whole mummy needs a wine, and everyone around you saying, God, have a drink, or it's just such a common thing. I think particularly it seems to be in Scotland, doesn't it?
Yeah.
To encourage people to drink, and there's no harm meant in it. There's no harm. But how, if you're a small business owner and you're as busy as that, and you are drinking, how would that affect your daily life, decision making, ability to show up? I mean, surely it can only have a negative impact and not really actually help anything at all.
Yeah, and I think what you said there, one of the points you made there is so important, which is, people don't really mean any harm, and and you could be in your wee bubble thinking, right, I'm going to do my best not to drink, and then your partner says, come on, you look stressed out, let's have a drink. And the trouble is we never question it. So when we think about that, I need a, you need a, what do we really need? But the impact that can have on us, for me, so many people message me to tell me they're sleeping better. And if I drop down Indeed the morning, they can just put my headstone, Kirsty help people sleep better. Because I know, the last time I slept really badly was when I adopted my cats a few years ago. And no sleep, I was hanging on by a thread. Like it was
it's the worst.
Just awful. So particularly women of a certain age, as we get hit perimenopause age, our sleep can be quite disruptive anyway. Add alcohol to the mix. And it's just not great. It's a disruptive sleeper. We're waking up during the night, not getting back to sleep. Already we're on the back foot when we wake up in the morning. And as we know, our to-do list can be like arms long. And I get that thing about other responsibilities. I've got an elderly parent. So already we're on the back foot. We're tired. We're lethargic. Then we start to question our ability, our confidence. Or maybe we've drank around people that were like, what did I say to them last night? Did I say something silly? Did I say something? Checking your phone. And it really impacts our confidence. And I work with so many women who tell me all these amazing things they do. I do work with men as well, but it's mostly women. Yet they don't see how great they are, because when people when people believe they've got an issue with alcohol, so most of them are holding it very, very privately, because there's such shame around it. And you mentioned here in Scotland, I work with people all over the world, believe it or not, and even in England, there's a very similar thing going on down there. Have a drink, have a drink. We're carrying this shame around with us. We're hoping nobody's seeing that we've let something slide. Do they think I'm drinking too much? We don't want to mention it, so we start playing small. And I am here to help women play big. I believe we need more women in business. We need more women solo business owners or entrepreneurs, because men have their benefits, of course, I'm sure they do. But women have so much to give. And from a very early age, we've been told we have to look this way, we have to do this thing. And then we're adding this shame about our drinking. Now, when you've got that shame about your drinking, you believe it's the only thing going for you, the only thing about you, and it's not. And I help my clients separate themselves from this problem that we're going to solve and get them to look this way and see everything that's going well. You're bringing up the kids, you're running a house, you're managing to eat 3 meals a day, you're funny, you're intelligent, whatever it might be that they bring to the table. But for so long, they've carried this thing around, oh God, am I drinking too much? Am I making a fool of myself when I drink? And as we start to remove them, or even just, people don't have to stop drinking forever, that terrifies them. But even as we just take a break and get further from that and give them a bit of space to breathe and realise, actually, I'm no just Kirsty that drinks too much wine. I'm Kirsty that's been really supportive to our family, that's got a good sense of humour, that's a great friend, all this other stuff. And finally, they start to get that bit of confidence back. The money that we save. I checked today, because I knew I was talking to you. My I Am Sober app tells me I've saved £55,000. Now, I've no idea where that is. In 7.5 years.
Yeah.
It's probably
Where is that cash?
It's all the books I read. I read so many books. But the
Tell
money
me about it. Mine's just getting out of hand, buying books.
So the money that we can save, and I'm not saying pumping it into your business. I mean, like having a massage, getting your hair cut, taking yourself out for a lovely lunch or whatever. Women tend to be at the bottom of their to-do list, and I really help them bump it up, because when we get on a plane and they say to us, put your oxygen mask on first, they're saying that for a reason, because when our cups are empty, we are not able to support anybody, so I really help my clients, because they've got this thought that if they need to de-stress, or unwind, the easiest thing to do is to reach for a glass. And I often say the one thing that I thought was unwinding me was unraveling me, and it was
Yes.
completely just making me fall apart.
Yep.
I support people to have other coping mechanisms, to be able to have their needs met, whether they're verbalizing or whether they're just doing it from them for themselves. And I work with so many small business owners. I
Oh,
work with
okay.
so many people in the health and wellness industry,
Right,
yoga
okay.
teachers, meditation teachers, people that run retreats, because they all know something's not quite right, and they know if it's having any negative impact on your life, Amanda. So if we were eating, and I always use this, but it's a great way to describe it. If we were allergic to pizza, dairy, we would stop eating so many pizzas. We really, really would.
Yeah.
If alcohol is having any negative impact on your life, maybe interrupting your sleep, giving you a sore head, acid reflux, IBS style symptoms, the thing to do is to take a break and to see how life is without it. Now, if we're feeling all those things I've just mentioned, those physical things, I've not even mentioned the mental things, the anxiety, the depression, the lack of self-worth. It's very hard to run a business when you're running on empty
Oh
and
gosh,
you've got
yeah.
all these other things there as well.
Yeah. And so you think, okay, I've had a really busy day. It's just been all the tabs are open. My head's about to explode. Kids are down. I'm going to have a glass of wine that turns into a bottle of wine. You think that's what's helping you relax, but like you say, you think that's relaxing, but it's actually unraveling you.
Yeah, to
Yeah,
unwind,
yeah.
to
You think
unraveling.
it's unwinding you, yeah, but it's actually unraveling you because although you think that's helping there and then in the moment, the whole ripple effect of that and the consequences of that for the next day and the day after that and even the night, you're not going to sleep well. It's just going to make things worse.
Yep.
But why do you think, as you say there, if you knew you were severely dairy intolerant, you would start to cut that out to see how you go on? So why do you think it's different with alcohol, that there's such a struggle there to cut it out?
Well, for a number of reasons, I think. And one of the things is I'd say it's a bit Russian roulette. So I'll hear people say to me, I actually had a bottle of wine last Tuesday and I felt fine the next day. But then I had a bottle of wine on the Friday and I was hellish on the Saturday. These symptoms that I've just mentioned to you, acid reflux, sore tummy, sore head, that's your body telling you that it can't cope with that. There's something going on. It's intolerant some way at that point. Sadly, as we get older, we have an enzyme that changes in our tummy. We don't have as much water in our muscles and carrying in our body, so it's harder to break down alcohol. Some days you might feel slightly better than other days. So people are like, oh, but it was okay that time, and I don't want to be the odd one out. And the one I hear the most is, I don't want people to think that I've got a serious problem. Now, what I talk to my clients about is this is an empowering decision because you're doing something that's actually going to level up your life. So if somebody comes to you, so if anybody's listening and they're like, maybe that would be me. So if you want to not drink this weekend, right, or whatever, next time you've got an event, and somebody says to you, why are you not drinking? If you turn around and go, God, I just can't handle it anymore. I'm feeling like whatever. Shit. I was going to try not to swear, but I said it. I'm feeling like shit. Or I made a bit of a fool of myself last time. People will go, Amanda, didn't be so daft. We've all been there. Yeah, we're totally fine. Have a drink now. But if we rewind and go into that situation and say, somebody says have a drink, and you say I'm not drinking, and they say go and just have one, and you say, oh my God, I've not drank for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. I feel amazing. My sleep is so good. I can actually see my eyes
Really
look
own
whiter.
it.
My skin looks clearer. It's very difficult for somebody to turn around and go, yeah, but I don't want you to have all that great stuff. So
Love
think
that.
about the
Yep.
positives that you're getting from not drinking and go
Yeah.
into that conversation with the positives, even if you're having to make them up a little bit, because you know that you will be feeling that way if you don't drink that night.
Gosh, just you even describing that, I can feel the shift of power in that conversation because you're belittling yourself a wee bit by saying, oh yeah, I've made a bit of a fool of myself and whatever, and they've got the power to encourage you and convince you that you're fine and that was just a one-off and it'll be fine, come on. But as soon as you take that power and really own your decisions,
Absolutely.
oh, it's a total shift, as you say, and the other person would just be like, okay. I mean, you can't be like, who could diss that, the things that you're describing there?
Yep. And if anybody listening decides to do that, think, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have an alcohol-free night or weekend or whatever it may be. It doesn't matter. It could be anything. What I would really recommend that you do is the next again morning when you wake up, smug as fuck, as we say in the sober world.
Yep,
Um,
love it.
get in your journal or on the notes on your phone. That's another good thing to say is some people are a bit nervous about writing in a journal. Do the notes on your phone and just write how proud you are of yourself, because I know, for 100% I know, that you've been so negative on yourself when you've drank. So I want you to put as much energy into when you don't drink. I am so proud of myself. I did it. I came home when I said I was going to come home. I'm feeling good today. I've got the whole day ahead of me just to chill out on my settee and read a book, whatever it may be. Put as much energy into bigging yourself up as you do for knocking yourself down, because we've got a long way to go. We've knocked ourselves down for years and years and years. And I am my client's biggest cheerleader. And if they don't see how well I will cheer them on. And eventually they're their own cheerleaders. They're turning around to their friends and saying, oh my God, I feel amazing. And it wasn't a big thing for me at the time, probably more so now. You know, a lot of people say, and I'm actually noticing that I'm not carrying as much weight around my middle.
Yep.
Our bodies actually put protective fat around our livers when we're maybe drinking too much. I used to think I was shaped like a Weetabix, so I always say this, but actually I've got a really small waist. And I didn't really notice that until I got further into my sobriety, and I see it now. I've actually got quite a defined figure. So for some people, they can be saying, and do you know what? I've finally got into those jeans that I was talking about, or, you know, whatever it is that makes you feel good. For me, it's my skin, although I've got a belter of the day, but my skin's much cleaner. I just like myself more. And if you go in feeling that way and saying, no, I feel great about it, thanks, but you carry on. That's what I would say. You carry on. I'm not asking you to stop, but I'm not going to do it.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. And I find myself in those scenarios as well. So I've never felt like I've had a problem with drinking. I went hell for leather with it in my 20s, but it was always managed. It was weekends, it was binge drinking, it was what everybody else was doing. And I grew up with alcoholic parents on a council estate. It's exactly as you described there. It was a very generational thing. I mean, most parents were doing it, but I think now looking back, probably not to the extreme that ours were. And I don't know if that in some way subconsciously shaped my relationship with alcohol, that I've always been able to keep it in check because I've seen the damage it does. But now, I've got 4-year-old twins now, and there's nothing anybody could say to me to make me have a drink and wake up with them the next day with a hangover.
Yep.
Honestly, nothing, because it's a new type of hell to wake up with 2 4-year-olds jumping on you, wanting you to get up and wanting you to do things, you know, they're oblivious. And you feel like all those things you've just mentioned, the physical, the mental, the everything, it's just awful for you, awful for them. So that's just now what I was saying. No, I've got kids in the morning. It's just so, end of.
And that touched on something you said there, because I think it's a really important point to make, and it does help a lot of people. So we talk more and more, it's a very American term, but it's definitely coming here. We talk more and more about alcohol use disorder, and that's an umbrella term. And on one end, we can have the people that my father would think was an alcoholic, which is the poor souls sitting in a shop doorway drinking, all the way to the other end, to the binge drinkers. So, you know, we can all be underneath that umbrella. It doesn't have to be so black and white. It's you know, if you're under there and there feels like there's something negative going on, you don't have to be like, oh my God, I must be an alcoholic. You can just be like, actually, there's something, when I use that, there's a bit of a disorder going on in my life. So, I don't want to use it. And the work that I've done in the prisons and the work that I do in the community, what I hear the most from people is, my such and such was a heavy drinker, with my father, my mother, my uncle, my auntie. I have yet to speak to anybody that hasn't said to me, because everybody talks to me about alcohol, that they've got somebody in their family that has alcoholism or alcohol use disorder. It is rife, and we're becoming more and more health conscious. I'm seeing so many young women. Last year I worked with so many lassies who I've kept in touch with in their mid-20s, and they're still all sober, because they're like, stuff that, like, I want to live my life.
I've noticed that myself. Yeah, it's less of a thing. When I was in my 20s, it was just what we did, and I never ever questioned it, because I was hungover the next day and that was the end of it, really, and so were my friends, and so that I never ever questioned it. But now, looking back at this new generation who are so fresh and they're getting out and really loving life, and without the hangovers and without the increased drinking, you do think, maybe I could have done things a bit differently there.
Yeah.
But a lot of time, you know, you are shaped with your environment, aren't you? You are. And when you're younger and you've not got that life experience behind you. But no, good on them. Good on them if there's a whole new generation of young adults who are choosing to be sober, because it's not good for you. It's really not good for you at all. And so if we're we're trying to break that whole mummy needs a wine, I need a wine to unwind, to have a drink. People are encouraging you to do that. You've touched on a few other things that you can do, that you do. You mentioned journaling quite a lot. But what can we start to replace that with? Because I'd imagine there might be a concern there of replacing it with other, maybe not equally, but just as crap things, perhaps sugar, sweets. I don't know. You could easily replace one thing, jump out the fire into the frying pan kind of thing. So what other alternatives then, for our business owner audience that have having a bad day, or they're having a rough week, or they are struggling to cope and they've been turning to alcohol, but if they're about to, before they open that bottle of wine, what else can they do?
So, yeah, I hear what you're saying about the sugar, and it was crisps for me. Oh my God, I'm a carb. I still have to watch the carbs. It's not a huge, massive problem in the beginning because your body is looking for that sugar. If you're somebody that's having a glass of wine regularly and you stop, your body is going to crave that sugar. So it's okay to have a few sugary treats in. But let's go back to the phrase that we've both used quite a lot on this call, which is, I need a drink. What do you actually need? So once we dig deeper, it's like, I just need a break, or I
You
need
probably need a walk.
a walk, yeah. I need a bit of space. I need a bit of me time. Now, I'm always acutely aware that not every, I mean, I'm in a very different position from you. I live alone now. My daughter's got her own house. But there was times where I couldn't have got away from my daughter either. She was, it was just her and I. So what works, is it chucking your baby in a buggy and going for a walk? Is it, saying to your young child, come, we're walking at the park tonight? If wine o'clock for you, 6 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night, disrupt that habit loop, what can you put in there instead? So my daughter was still a child when I stopped drinking. Wine o'clock for me was every day that ended in a Y. But what I used to do at the time when I would have been drinking is I'd get in the shower, wash my hair, wash my face, whatever, get my comfies on so I know I wasn't going out to pick up some wine, and I was listening to my audiobook. It sounds so simple, but I was doing things like clearing out drawers in my kitchen in the very beginning, or in my bedroom, until I got past like the bit where I was white knuckling. But for a lot of my clients, it's just like, do you know what I did instead? Is I put on my favourite TV programme, and it went in 15 minutes, 20 minutes. But I look at the root cause, like, I sit with my clients and look at what is it that's making you really go for that drink. So it really depends on the thing. A lot of them have to have very serious conversations with their partners, like, I need you to help a little bit more, or I just need a wee bit of me time. If you have your time in the morning going to the gym, can I have maybe like 20 minutes, a half an hour at night to go and do a yoga class in the bedroom? There's so much online now, which is really good, isn't it? I think it's really important as well to say that alcohol-free drinks are great. And when clients work with me, some of them want to moderate, which is a whole different story. But anyway, if you're going to moderate, you don't drink if you're angry, you don't drink if you're stressed, you don't drink if your husband's been a prick, your wife's been an asshole, whatever. You drink to celebrate, or to chill out, or to enjoy a nice meal, right? So alcohol-free drinks can be used in the same way. I work a weekend, but I still have the Friday feeling, and I've got a garden, and I love a nice cold alcohol-free lager in the garden, because I'm like, it's Friday, I'm having a wee alcohol-free beer, and it's because I'm celebrating, it's a Friday night, that feels good. There's so many great websites, Wise Bartender's a belter, where you can pretty much get anything alcohol-free. And it can be nice still to sit with your partner, and there's a bit of theatre important in a nice glass, rather than just sitting there with your fizzy pop or whatever, fizzy juice. So it's okay to think, well, I'll just have an alcohol-free drink at the weekend instead. If you're going to somebody's house, take your alcohol-free drinks. Phone ahead to wherever you're going out to eat. I always do that. I'm not going somewhere. I'm not paying good money for food if they're going to offer me a Diet Coke or a Beck's Blue. Start to look how you can replace it in other ways. I just want to say one more thing on that. Another really good thing to do is, particularly in the beginning, is really shift your day around a bit if you can. So maybe if you're somebody that sits up after the kids have gone to bed, drinking wine till 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, which I hear all the time, that's what happens. Get into your bed a bit earlier and get up a bit earlier, and that's your time. And maybe journal. How do I feel today? A great journaling prompt is, how do I want to feel when I climb into bed tonight? Or how do I want to feel when I get up in the morning? Why am I grateful I didn't drink last night? What am I looking forward to in the week ahead? What's your intention? What's my intention for this week? Nobody says my intention for this week is to be an anxious, quivering wreck by Sunday.
Yeah, of course. That does change it, doesn't it? And how do you want to feel? Yeah, because no one's going to choose that. Yeah. Important, great tips, absolutely. So tell us a bit more about Sober Buzz and your other business, Sky Rose Coaching. Tell us about what you do there and Who's it for?
Sky Rose Coaching is named after Sky, my daughter, and Rose, my niece, who are my
Lovely.
two biggest Ys. My niece is my biggest fan. When I was on the telly, she told her school that her auntie was a non-alcoholic, like the beer. She always So Sky Rose Coaching is my private coaching practice. And I work predominantly with women, although I do work with men. And I support people to look at their relationship with alcohol, but more importantly, with themselves. I could hold MD's hand and get them sober for 8 weeks, I'm pretty sure, or 12 weeks. I do 2 different courses. But we really do a deep dive on where you're at now. We look at our values. We look at what you want for life. We look at your goals. We look back the way to see what's happened so we can ensure if that happens again, something different happens. I've got a self-love club that I run every Saturday and Sunday morning for sober and sober curious people. We journal, we meditate, all those good self-care things that we talk about. It's Sky Rose Coaching as well. I've got a sober weekend reset, so you don't even have to speak to me. It just gets emailed to you, so you can have 3 days alcohol-free. See how you got on with that.
See how that feels.
Yeah, see how it fits. Yeah. And, a lot of the time people just want a break. People message me and they'll say, I need a break for this, because they're absolutely exhausted. Summer's a great time to take a break as well, because you get to really enjoy the nice weather without being hungover.
Must be a lot of pressure though in the summer though for drinking, outdoor events, barbecues, beer gardens.
Pressure all year round, Amanda.
True. Because then, before you know it, you're getting into Christmas and whatnot as well, and it's probably even more.
Do you know the people I work with the most at this time of year? Teachers. So many teachers get in touch when they say, I can't have another 7 weeks when I've just drank for the full 7 weeks.
Oh, gosh,
Summer's a really busy time for me with teachers. People will message me and say, oh, I really want to work with you, but it's my husband's birthday, I've got a work event, I'm launching a product, and I say, well, if you're taking that, you'll never find a time to work with me. I posted feedback this morning from one of my clients who's been working with me for 5 weeks, and she's having her first ever sober holiday, and she said it's amazing. She's loving it. She knew that was coming up when she started working with me, but I'm so proud of her for saying there's never going to be a perfect
there never is for anything. Starting on Monday, starting after summer, starting at the start of the month. See if you're going to start, just start right now, even in the smallest way, start right now.
Totally. And I think it's hugely important for me to say as well, because everybody's kind of like, oh my God, I don't want MD to know. Complete confidentiality when you work with me. Absolutely. It's an MD that DMs me, that's between me and that client. So yeah, that's one-to-one work, and I do the odd workshop, and I've recently started doing workshops and talks for corporate people or for small businesses who want to support their sober curious clients, particularly coming up to Sober October. I do a lot with that. And Sober Buzz is a community interest company, social enterprise.
What does that mean?
It's a social enterprise, but in different wording. So we're a not-for-profit company. We don't take a wage. I don't make any money from Sober Buzz. It's a labour of love. And neither do my directors. And what we do is we hold walk and talks. So other sober curious people come along and we just go for a wander. We rarely stand and talk about why we're sober, but people tend to start sharing because they're with other like-minded people. We had a really big event earlier this year where we had people doing yoga, sound baths, meditation, all that kind of stuff. And we're hopefully a place for education, so that's when I say that I've been invited onto the TV and onto different podcasts and stuff, and thank you for inviting me on today. It's because we're kind of seen as slightly different from a lot of other organisations in that we're really, really celebrating the fact that we're sober curious. I am not powerless because of alcohol. I am powerful because I don't drink alcohol. I will say for MD else out there running a community interest company, thoughts and prayers, because it's not an easy thing to do. I naively thought there'd be so much funding, but there's not, and it's quite a difficult space to be in. But yeah, I mean, my purpose in life, spoken like a true life coach, but I know my purpose in life is to support and to educate and to empower as many people as possible to know that there is a life far beyond your wildest dreams past alcohol.
Love that. You can totally see you're so well suited to it, Kirsty. So well suited to it. And so if anyone's listening who is curious then and thinking they can relate to what you're saying and they can sort of hear themselves being described in some of the chats we've just had there, where do you suggest they start?
Just drop me a DM. Just say hi. I heard you on Amanda's podcast. I've actually got a workbook as well, a 28-day workbook that gets emailed to you, and you get asked to message me every 7 days to let me know how you're getting on, and that gives people a space to be like, is this what I want? Come and find me at Sky Rose Coaching. I am mostly on Instagram. Facebook gives me the actual fear. I do cross post, but then I'm like, oh my God, somebody's commented. I don't know why I'm so
Kirsty
scared.
and I are working on that.
It gives me the actual fear. So I'm mostly on Instagram. In fact, I'm on there all the time. I was just saying to Amanda before we started, I jump on most mornings and have a little chat.
Mhm.
Um, I just see everybody there as my pals. I never pressurise anybody, and Amanda's very similar. Like I get great joy for being in Amanda's group because
Oh.
it feels like a community, and that's what I want with my audience and my Insta friends. And I never say, "Why did you message me 5 days ago? You've not got back to me." I would never be doing that. People dip in and out of my DMs all the time. Um, Sometimes people just want to know if there's something on in their local area, what book they could read, what podcast. I'm here for it all
Mhm.
because I am the person that I needed 7.5 years ago, but
Yeah.
couldn't.
So many good businesses are born out of that, aren't they? Who
Yeah,
you needed at a certain point in life.
yep.
Wow, amazing. And so if someone's listening who is, they know for sure that they have a problem with drinking here and they're feeling really in the thick of it, really overwhelmed and thinking the shame as well of even reaching out. As you say, that in itself must be even a hard thing to do because there's admitting in that, isn't there? If you're reaching out, then you're admitting that there's a problem there. What would you want them to hear today?
There's such strength in that admission. I mean, it's such a powerful thing to do is to ask for help. I
Mm-hmm.
often think of shame being like the little yucky things in Gremlins. Remember before they pop out, like it's all sticky and it's in the dark. And I
Mm-hmm.
think as soon, I mean, Brené Brown says it better than me, but I think as soon as we start to bring that out into the light, that vulnerability that we have with somebody like me,
Mm-hmm.
or yeah, somebody like me, I should imagine, you're giving its power away. You're saying, actually,
Yep.
no longer am I going to be tied to that thing. I'm owning it and I'm ready to make a change. And
Mm-hmm.
if I don't think that I can help you, if you're like, I can't afford to work with you, or I will help you find a way to make it work. AA didn't work for me, but there's other things, smart recovery and stuff, and I'm well versed in it all. And I pretty much know people in every area of Scotland, at least, where there might be support groups or other things going on. I work with people that are in AA because they really enjoy the self-love part that I do. For me, it's all about self-love. That's why I stopped drinking, so I could start caring for myself and loving myself. Um, I would absolutely champion you if you said, I finally feel like I want to make a change. And that's often, and I know it's cheesy and it's been said many times, but that's often the hardest part, is finally saying it. Clients will be talking to me and they're like, oh, I'm crying again. And I say, well, I always worry if people didn't cry because it's a huge, and people are offloading or finally bringing to the light things that they've not shared with anybody. And I can hold that for them because I've either been there
Mm-hmm.
or I've held that space for other people. And
Yeah, there's no
you know,
judgment.
none of, oh my God, absolutely not. I'd have a bloody cheek.
Well, you've heard Kirsty's stories, so she's not going to judge. I don't
Oh,
think there's anything anyone could tell you that would shock you.
well, no, because my first job in the prison, right, was I done triage. So I actually had keys to the halls and stuff, Amanda. Can you believe it? So like I'd go in and people would come that wanted to engage with the charity. And they'd come and they'd speak to me and they would share whatever was going on in their life, and I had to keep a poker face because, I mean, you were hearing all sorts of stuff from these people.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard it all, I should imagine. And
Yeah.
even there, I didn't put shame on those people,
Mm-hmm.
they needed support as much as anybody else. And
Yep.
I'm honoured. I am absolutely honoured to do this. People stop me and chat to me. People come to I do in-person events occasionally, and I leave these things thinking, oh my God, like how lucky am I that I get to help that person unburden themselves with whatever. And
Yep.
I certainly don't think any less of a person. I
No.
think, my God, what a badass they are.
Yep. Taking ownership and doing something about it. Yep. It's going to feel great. So if that is you taking the first step, it's going to feel bloody amazing, isn't it?
Totally.
Yeah. So go for it. So do you think there's anything we've not covered today, Kirsty, that you'd like people to hear?
Yeah, I just want people to know I still go out. I mean,
Oh,
few.
okay. Yep. Of course, with the socialising look, alcohol free.
Yeah, I touched on it. I really, really enjoy techno music still to this day, and I've just booked up to go and listen to some in a couple of months. I still go out. My priorities have clearly changed. I have a wee Red Bull before I go out to keep me awake, or maybe a coffee, a danger coffee at 6 at night. I still go out for meals. I always make sure I'm going somewhere that has things that I want to have. I have really good boundaries. I leave early if I want to leave early. My life certainly hasn't just become swimming in the sea and going to bed early, although that's two of my favourite things. Still love to socialise. I still love to meet people. I date. People worry about going on dates. I'm single. I go out on dates. I'm very comfortable to say I don't drink on those things. Life hasn't changed massively because I don't drink, as in I still have a social life. It's just much more enjoyable and I
Oh, I
remember it
bet.
all now.
Yeah, I bet. That is good to hear, important to hear, because you must wonder if alcohol is a huge part of your social life. There must be a bit of a fear about what that looks like afterwards, how your friends are going to react, how your social circles are going to react. And that's something that you can give us lived experience of as well.
Totally. And it's stuff
Yeah.
that's hugely important that we do. There's no point in you just having these 8 weeks, 12 weeks cocooned. I actively encourage, unless the person doesn't go out normally, and they just socialise with their partner or whatever. But, I would say to my clients, get yourself a lunch out or a dinner out, while you're working with me, and let's make this work for you. So you're still getting the enjoyment. I mean, I love food. I love music. I
Same.
love, I don't want to stop doing all that stuff. Um, and I don't, and I'm having a far better time. I'm the oldest raver there, right enough, like
Love
50
it.
next year. But I'm having a great time. I'm having a wonderful, wonderful life. I'm not missing out on anything. Nothing positive. There's nothing positive has left my life since I
Yeah.
stopped drinking.
Oh wow, gosh, Kirsty, thank you so much for sharing all that with us. Honestly, such a personal story, but also just lots of experience and hearing your life before and after alcohol as well. I don't think anybody listening could think, nah, I would just stick where I am. Unless, of course, you're not in a position to really to change things yet if you're not there yet, but if you are, then there's lots of positivity, lots of good things on the other end of not drinking.
Yeah.
You're living proof of that. And if you
Yeah.
need support, then I have no doubt whatsoever that you are the person to go to for that. I feel like you're just made for this work. I can feel it in your words. You're so passionate about it. It's incredible to hear. So
Thank
thank
you.
you for coming on and sharing that with us today. And of course, you mentioned finding you on Instagram, which is our favourite social media place to chat. So I will link Kirsty's social media, Skyrose Coaching and Sober Buzz, in the show notes, so you can just one click away from getting in touch or go and have a browse or hearing one of Kirsty's morning chats. Yeah.
My rambling.
The
Um,
jellyfish woman.
Listen, I've been stung that many times. I think I might be like Spider-Man is, like somebody who put into a jellyfish at some point. Amanda, I want to thank you as well because thank you once for the opportunity and also for your community. I mean, I sometimes do struggle with what am I going to post, but I know I can always look to you for the inspiration and support.
Oh, well, that's good to hear. Yep, that's something I'm passionate about. Making social media easy, fun, and profitable for small business owners. It doesn't have to be stressful. You can use it to just chat to your audience like you do, get really important messages out. I mean, a platform where small business owners now are global. We're no longer confined to the brick and mortar local store. Even if you do have a brick and mortar local store, you can still get out to the world. It's incredible. So having businesses like you as part of it is what makes it so. Thank you for being there, and thanks again for coming on today.
Thank you.